The sky was on fire. Ships fell from above like broken stars. Screams filled the air. Buildings burned. People ran in every direction. But the little princess stood still, frozen in fear. Her golden dress was torn, and her small hands shook as she held a cracked toy crystal close to her chest. She was only 10 years old. The palace guards had told her to run. Her mother had pushed her into the escape tunnel. But the tunnel collapsed before she could go through. Now she stood in the open, lost and alone, in the middle of a war zone. Smoke stung her eyes. Loud blasts made her ears ring. She couldn't move. Her legs were too weak. She thought she would die. Then she heard footsteps. Heavy, fast, not like her people's steps. These were strong and sharp, coming closer. She turned her head slowly. A tall figure appeared through the smoke. He wasn't one of them. He wasn't an alien. He was a human. She had only seen humans in holoscreens, warriors, explorers, builders. But this one was real, standing right in front of her. His face was dirty, and there was blood on his arm. A deep scar cut across one eyebrow. He looked wild, like someone who had seen too much pain. The princess was too scared to speak, but the man didn't hurt her. He knelt down and said something in a soft voice. She couldn't understand the words, but she could feel they were kind. His eyes were serious, but gentle. He looked at the broken crystal in her hand, then pointed to the burning palace. She nodded slowly, tears in her eyes. The man looked around. Enemy drones were coming. The sky turned red again. He picked her up in one strong arm and ran. Through fire, falling stones and loud explosions, he carried her. He didn't stop. Not even when a piece of the roof crashed nearby. Not even when he got hit by debris. He kept going, holding her close like she was the most important thing in the world. She buried her face in his shoulder, feeling his warmth, his strength. She held on tightly. They reached an old transport ship. It was damaged but still working. He placed her inside and gave her a small pendant. It had a symbol she didn't understand. He closed her hands around it. Then he smiled at her, just once. She tried to speak. "Who are you?" But the man turned and ran back into the smoke. The ship launched. She looked out the small window, searching for him. But all she saw was fire. She never saw him again. Now, many years later, Princess Kayla stood on her palace balcony. The stars above were calm tonight. No fire, no screams. Just quiet. But the memory never left her. She still remembered the smell of smoke, the sound of his footsteps, the warmth of his arms. The pendant he gave her hung around her neck every day. He had saved her life. He had disappeared. No one believed her when she said a human rescued her. The royal council called it a child's dream. They said no human was near the palace that day. But she knew the truth. She remembered his face. She remembered his scar. And she never forgot. Now, at 23, she was queen. Her people looked to her for leadership. But behind her royal smile, she still carried a silent question. Who was that man? Then, 3 days ago, a message arrived. A human ambassador had requested a meeting. He was here to talk peace between worlds. Nothing strange about that. But Kayla felt something deep inside, something pulling her toward this meeting. His name was Captain Reese Calder. He was once a soldier, now a diplomat. But when she saw the image in the report, her heart skipped a beat. He had the same eyes, the same scar. The man who had saved her life was back. And he didn't even know it. She kept her face calm as the guards opened the doors to the royal hall. He stood with his back turned, looking at the giant window. Her voice came out soft. Captain Calder. He turned. Their eyes met. His face showed no sign of recognition. But hers? Hers told 1,000 stories. The pendant at her neck felt warm. Her heart raced. He bowed politely. Princess Kayla, it is an honor. She smiled. But her hands were shaking. Because she knew something that would change everything. He had saved her once, and he had no idea who she was. He looked into her eyes and felt nothing. She looked into his eyes and felt everything. Princess Kayla stood still, her breath frozen in her throat. Captain Reese Calder bowed before her like it was any other diplomatic visit. His tone was respectful. His words were formal. He did not know her, not even a flicker of recognition, not even a pause. But she knew that scar above his brow. That same voice that once spoke to her through smoke and fire. That same hand that once held her tiny one. He had saved her life, and he had forgotten. I hope your journey was comfortable, Kayla said, her voice smooth, trained like a true queen. Yes, Your Majesty, Reese replied. I come with peace talks from the Terran Alliance. Kayla smiled gently. Peace is valuable, but trust is rarer. He nodded, unaware of the weight in her words. Guards watched from the walls. Nobles whispered behind her throne. To everyone in the room, this was just another meeting, but not to her. Inside, memories slammed against her like waves. Hot wind, red skies, the sound of ships falling, and the warmth of strong arms. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a story. It was real, and he didn't even remember her. She wanted to scream, to grab him, to show him the pendant he gave her that day. But something held her back. No, she had waited this long. She could wait a little longer. That night, she sat alone in her chamber. Moonlight spilled across the cold marble floor. In her hand, she held the small silver pendant, tarnished, but still whole. A human-made symbol was carved into it. The same symbol now printed on Captain Reese Calder's uniform. She closed her eyes and whispered to the stars, "Why did you forget me?" Down in the guest quarters, Reese sat at a wide desk, reading reports. He rubbed his forehead. His old war wounds ached on cold nights. There was something strange about this princess. Her voice felt familiar. Her eyes, they stared too deeply. And when he stood before her, he had felt something he couldn't name. Like a sound he once heard long ago but had forgotten the words. He shook his head. "Don't be foolish," he muttered. "She's royalty. You're just a soldier with too many ghosts." Still, something tugged at him. The next morning, she summoned him again, but not to the main hall. She asked to meet him in the garden. He found her sitting alone beneath a glowing tree. The leaves shimmered in the wind like crystal rain. Her crown was gone. Her royal robes replaced with a simple white dress. He hesitated. "You asked to see me, princess?" "Please," she said, looking up. "Just Kayla, no titles today." He blinked in surprise but nodded. She motioned to the seat beside her. "Sit." He sat. Silence stretched between them. She studied him. The way his hands rested on his knees. The way his eyes scanned everything like a soldier who had learned never to trust peace. "I want to ask you something," she said finally. "Something not about politics, something personal." He frowned. "Of course. Do you remember a child you saved during the Battle of Firefall?" He stiffened slightly. "Firefall was years ago," he said. "That was a long, terrible day. You were there." "Yes, I was part of a rescue unit, but many civilians were lost." "I don't remember every face," she nodded slowly. "What if I told you one of those faces remembered you?" She asked. His brow furrowed. "What if she never forgot you? Not even for a day?" He stared at her. Kael reached into her dress and pulled out the pendant. She opened her palm and held it out to him. His eyes widened. That symbol, that old pendant, he had made it himself just before the mission. A good luck charm. He had given it to a girl. A small girl, covered in ash, crying in fear. His heart stopped. "You're her," he whispered. Kayla smiled sadly. "I was just a scared child. But you were the bravest person I had ever seen." Reese leaned back slowly, his face pale. "All these years," she nodded. "You disappeared after that. No one knew who you were." But I never stopped searching. I kept this waiting. He looked at the pendant, then at her face. You grew up and became a queen. And you became a man who forgot me, she said gently. I'm sorry, he whispered. Her eyes sparkled not with sadness but with something deeper. Don't be. You remembered now. The past had returned to him, but the present would not let him breathe. Captain Rhys Calder sat in the royal garden alone now. The silver pendant lay in his hand, warm from her touch. It had taken only seconds for the truth to fall on him like a crash of thunder. She was the girl he saved, the little princess he carried through fire. And now she was Queen Kayla, but she had remembered him. All these years, she had kept this small object. He stared at it like it was a ghost of a man he once was, brave, fast, reckless. That soldier had disappeared the day after Firefall, buried under layers of orders, missions, and losses. But Kayla, she had held on. Now he wondered, what was he supposed to do with that truth? Up in the high tower, Kayla watched him from the window. She didn't expect him to remember everything. She didn't expect him to feel what she felt. But the way his face changed when he saw the pendant, it was enough. That look, half memory, half shock, told her he remembered enough. Her hands rested against the cold stone. He remembers, she whispered. She had waited for that moment for years. She had dreamed of what she would say, how he would react. But real life was not a dream. Real life was quiet, complicated. There was something in his eyes now. Not fear, not anger. Distance. Later that day, Rhys stood in front of the Royal Council. They spoke of trade, space laws, border patrols. He listened, he nodded, he answered. But his mind was still in the garden, still with her. The others noticed. The Lord Commander leaned over. Captain Calder, you seem distracted. He smiled politely. Just tired, long travel. Kayla sat across the chamber. Her eyes met his. But neither of them spoke. Not there. Not in front of everyone. That evening, Kayla invited him to dinner in her private hall. The room was quiet. No guards, no nobles. Just soft music and warm food between them. You haven't said much today, she said, sipping her drink. Rhys looked at her, his face unreadable. I'm not sure what to say. You don't have to say anything. I think I do, he said. You remembered me all these years, and I buried that day like it was nothing. I didn't mean to forget. But I did, she nodded. You were a soldier. You had to move on. I understand. No, he said quietly. You don't. I didn't just forget. I ran away from it. From you. Her fingers stilled. I came to save lives, he continued. And when I saw you so small, so scared, I told myself I could protect just one. So I did, but I never looked back. I never tried to find out what happened to you, I thought. Maybe it was better that way. Kayla stared at him. And now? She asked. He met her eyes. Now I don't know what to do. A knock broke the silence. One of her royal aides entered, holding a data tablet. Forgive me, Your Majesty, but we found something. Kayla raised an eyebrow. Something? The aide handed her the tablet. A report from the Terran archives, redacted files from the Firefall battle. We searched the old war logs based on your description. She scanned the screen. Her eyes narrowed. There's a file here. Code. Name, Project Ember. Rhys frowned. I've never heard of it. Kayla tapped on the file. It says you were assigned to it, but the records were locked until last week. He stepped closer, reading over her shoulder. Then he froze. Authorization. High command only, he whispered. Kayla looked up at him. What is it? His jaw tightened. They didn't just send me to rescue civilians. They sent me to find someone specific. Kayla blinked. Who? You. The silence was like ice between them. You knew? She asked slowly. No, I didn't. Not at the time. But it's here in black and white. Your name, your location. My mission file. Kayla stepped back. So you were ordered to save me. Reese looked stunned, but I didn't know it. I swear, I thought I was just saving a random child. Her voice shook. But I wasn't random. No, you weren't. That night, Reese sat alone again in his guest room. The pendant sat on the desk. The stars outside blinked coldly. Someone had lied to him. They sent him into a burning city, not just for peace, but for a crown. He was part of a secret operation to protect the royal bloodline. And now, that bloodline stood before him, asking to be remembered not as a queen, but as a girl he once saved. Now the question was, would the world let a human and a queen stand side by side again, this time by choice? The message wasn't written in words. It came in the form of a gift box, small, black and perfectly square, delivered to Captain Reese Calder's quarters by a servant who never gave his name. Reese opened it. Inside was a silver bullet, one single round, human-made, clean, new. Underneath, a folded note in alien script. Leave the palace, or the next one enters your heart. He didn't flinch. He didn't tell the guards. Instead, he placed the bullet in his coat pocket and locked the box away. Across the palace, in a hidden chamber of mirrors and smoke, 3 alien nobles sat around a glowing table. She's getting too close to the human. One growled. He's dangerous, hissed another. Not because of what he knows, but because she trusts him. She won't listen to us, said the third. Not when he's near. The first noble tapped a sharp claw on the table. Then we separate them. How? The answer came. Cold and quiet. We show her what humans really are. That evening, Princess Kayla walked along the crystal path alone. Her guards stayed at a distance, as she had ordered. Her thoughts were heavy. Her steps were slow. She couldn't shake the feeling something was coming. She stopped by the reflecting pool, where stars danced in the water. Her fingers brushed the pendant at her neck. She thought about his hands, his voice. That look in his eyes when he realized the truth. She had waited years to be remembered. Now she was terrified of what might happen next. Reese met her by the garden gate. You're late, she said softly. He smiled. I was thinking about us, about what's watching us. Kayla tilted her head. You think someone's watching? I know they are, Reese said, serious now. And they don't want this friendship. Let them watch. She replied. He shook his head. This isn't a love story, Kayla. This is politics. You're a queen. I'm a former soldier from a race they still don't trust. She stepped closer. And yet, I trust you. Reese didn't reply. Instead, he reached into his pocket and placed the silver bullet in her hand. Kayla looked down, her breath catching. Someone sent me this, he said. A message. Her fingers curled around it. We need to find out who. No, he said. You need to stay safe. Let me handle the rest. I'm not a child anymore, she said. He met her eyes. I know. And that was the problem. The next day, rumors exploded across the palace. The human ambassador was caught, accessing restricted files. The human ambassador was seen arguing with palace guards. The human ambassador was dangerous. None of it was true, but truth didn't matter. Not in politics. Kayla's advisors called for a private meeting. They sat in a tight circle, voices low, eyes sharp. He has no title, no rank among us. He has a soldier's history, nothing more. He is a threat to your image. She stood, calm but cold. He saved my life when no one else did. He asked for nothing in return. One advisor bowed his head. And now he wants your heart. Silence. I decide who holds my heart. She said, not you. That night, someone tampered with Reese's food. He didn't eat it. Someone disabled his door lock. He fixed it. Someone followed him in the halls. He left a false trail. But when he returned to his room, the window was open, and the bullet was gone. In its place was a new note. Last warning. The next morning, he met Kayla in the observatory. "I have to leave," he said. "No," she replied. "Not now. They're trying to push me out." "Then let them try. I can't stay. If it puts you in danger." She stepped forward and touched his hand. "You once risked your life to save me. Let me do the same now." He looked down at their hands. Her fingers were warm. His were trembling. "I'm afraid for you," he whispered. She smiled sadly. "So am I," but neither of them knew that deep below the palace, in the data vault, someone had just broken into Project Ember, and what they found would change everything, because Reese Calder wasn't the only human who had been sent to save the princess that day. He was just the only one who survived. The file opened with a scream, not a human scream. Child's Kayla's breath hitched as the old hollow recording flickered to life. Blue light lit the dark vault chamber. Dust hung in the air like memory. Behind her, Reese stood silent, fists clenched. At his sides, the voice in the recording cried, "Please, don't leave me." And there he was on the screen. Reese younger, bloody, carrying a small child in one arm, reaching for another with the other hand. There were two children, not one. The screen went black. Silence filled the chamber. Kala slowly turned to him. You never told me there was another." Reese looked just as shocked. "I didn't know. I don't remember. But the file says you were carrying both of us. Me and someone else." Reese walked up to the terminal. He tapped the controls again. The screen lit up. Text filled the air. Cold, sharp data. Subjects: Royal Children. Target extraction. Primary: Princess Kayla. Status: recovered. Secondary: Prince Lyric. Status: missing. Presumed dead. Kayla's heart stopped. Lyric. Her little brother. "I thought he died," she whispered. "Everyone said he was gone. That the tunnel collapsed with him inside." Reese stared at the data. "I must have dropped him. Or he slipped, I don't know." "No," she said, stepping closer. "You saved both of us. I saw it. He was with us. You carried him. I only remember you." Kayla grabbed the console. "So where is he now?" The answer came from behind them. "That's the question, isn't it?" Both turned sharply. An old man stepped out of the shadows. He wore a deep red cloak with a gold symbol. Kayla's royal crest. But old, forgotten. "Who are you?" Reese asked, stepping between the man and Kayla. The man smiled faintly. "I served your father, princess, before the war, before the palace burned." She narrowed her eyes. "Why are you here now?" "Because it's time for you to learn the full truth," the man said. "Your brother isn't dead." The words hit her harder than a blast. She stumbled back. "No, that can't be." "He was taken," the old man said. "Not by fire, not by rubble, but by those who wanted the throne." Reese stepped forward. "Who?" The old man looked at him. "People within your own system. Council members, nobles. He was just a child, but they saw him as a threat." Kala's voice cracked. "Where is he?" "No one knows," the man said. "He was hidden, off-world, smuggled away." Reese clenched his fists. "So why come forward now?" "Because," the man said softly, "rumors say he's back." Kayla sat in her chamber for hours after. Her brother alive? All these years, she had mourned him, held on to Reese as the only light from that dark day. But now, there was a second light. A second survivor. Why had no one told her? She touched the pendant around her neck. Reese had given it to her. But maybe he had given something else to Lyric. Or maybe someone else had. What if her brother didn't remember her? What if he remembered Reese? Reese walked the garden paths alone that night. Something didn't sit right. He had been trained to remember every mission, every detail. But his memories of that rescue were full of holes. Fire, running, screams, one child? No, two. Maybe someone had wiped his memory, hidden part of it, or maybe He had chosen to forget, but why? Suddenly something beeped on his wrist device. A message from an unknown sender. One line. You saved the wrong one. Reese stared at the message until the screen went black. He knew what it meant. If Lyric was alive, someone out there believed the princess wasn't supposed to survive, that she had taken her brother's place. And now, with Reese back in her life, old secrets were rising again. But one truth was now clear. Kayla had not been the only royal child in danger that day, and someone had made sure only one of them came back. She's about to break every rule of the crown. The words came from the shadows, whispered between nobles behind silk curtains. The royal chamber was full. The air was thick. Leaders, generals, nobles, and off-world ambassadors had all gathered for the final peace ceremony between the Human Alliance and the Starburn Empire. But no one cared about the treaty anymore. All eyes were on her. Queen Kayla. She walked down the grand stairs, robes flowing behind her, crown glinting under 100 chandeliers. At her side, Captain Reese called her, unarmed, unranked, uninvited, to the center floor. The nobles were already buzzing. She dares bring a human into the royal circle? He's a common soldier. He has no bloodline. Someone stop her before she ruins everything. But Kayla didn't stop. She raised her hand once, just once, and the room fell silent. My people, she began, voice calm but clear. Today is not just a day for treaties. It is a day for truth. Reese stood behind her like a shadow, still, silent. Kayla took a deep breath and turned toward the crowd. Years ago, when our world burned, I was saved not by a royal ship or noble hand, but by a man who came through fire and smoke. A human. Gasps broke through the silence. Some stood from their chairs. Others muttered. Kayla continued. That man disappeared after the rescue. No one ever found his name, but I remembered him. I searched for him. I wore his gift around my neck every day of my life. She touched the pendant, then slowly she turned and took Reese's hand. This is him. The hall froze. He is the reason I'm alive. He's the reason this crown sits on my head. And I will no longer hide the truth. The High Chancellor stood up, face red. Your Majesty, this is highly improper. We do not. I was not finished, Kayla interrupted, her voice steel now. More murmurs. A few nobles started toward the exits. A military general gave a signal, but guards did not move, because her personal guard stood firm behind her, loyal, ready. Kayla turned back to the people. Many of you think I should choose a noble partner, someone from a bloodline, someone safe, but I choose something else today. Her voice rang like a bell now. I choose the one who saved me when I was nothing. I choose the one who stood by me, even when assassins circled. I choose someone not for his name, but for his soul. I choose Captain Reese Calder. The hall exploded. Voices shouted. Some screamed. He's human. This is treason. She's lost her mind. Reese stepped forward, pulling her gently back. Kayla, maybe this isn't the time. She looked up at him, eyes fierce. If not now, then when? One elder noble pointed and yelled, that man doesn't belong on our soil. He's a danger to the throne. He may have always been. Another voice shouted, if she joins with him, we lose our seat on the High Council. Kayla raised her hand again. Silence. She walked to the center of the floor and placed her crown on a silver platform. I will not be your puppet queen. The room gasped. If you wish to strip me of the throne, do it now. But know this, if I walk out of here with him, I do so with peace in my heart and no regrets. Reese reached for her hand again. This time, she took his fully. For the first time since the war, the kingdom saw its queen not as a ruler, but as a woman making her own choice. In the farthest corner of the room, a tall figure in a gray cloak turned quietly and walked out. Unseen, a private communicator buzzed on his wrist. He spoke only one line. It's done. She chose the human. Begin phase 2. That night, Kayla and Reese stood alone on the balcony. Below them, protests began. Angry nobles. Shocked civilians. Divided opinions. But above them, the stars were quiet. Do you regret it? Reese asked. She leaned her head against his shoulder. Only that it took me so long. But Reese couldn't relax because deep in his chest, something felt wrong. Too easy, too fast, too quiet. Somewhere out there, someone had been waiting for this moment. And now, the trap had been triggered. He was watching the stars when the shot was fired. Captain Reese Calder didn't hear it, didn't see it, but he felt it. Just before Kayla tackled him to the ground, the bullet struck the stone wall behind them. Exploding in sparks, the guards shouted. Sirens lit the sky. But it was already too late. The piece was over. Kayla knelt over him, eyes wide. Are you hurt? No, he said, heart racing. You saved me, again. She looked toward the palace tower. They tried to kill you, in my own home. Reese sat up slowly, hand going to his sidearm. They'll try again. No, Kayla said. They'll try something worse. The next morning, emergency orders locked down the palace. Protesters filled the streets. The High Council demanded answers. One name kept rising in angry whispers. The human. Inside the throne room, Reese stood between two guards. He wasn't chained, but he might as well have been. He looked up at the woman he had once saved as a child. Now, she had to decide whether to save him. A council elder shouted, Your Majesty, we warned you. This man has divided the kingdom. He was targeted. Kayla snapped. You saw the footage. You brought danger into our gates. Another noble yelled. A human with a soldier's mind and no royal tie. Kayla stood, eyes blazing. He has something more important than royal blood. He has honor. Gasps echoed. Your bond with him is destroying everything we built, said the Chancellor. You must choose now, the crown, or the human. Silence. Reese looked at her truly. Looked. And then he said something no one expected. I'll leave, he said. Kayla turned sharply. What? He stepped forward. If my being here brings war, I'll go. I won't be the reason she loses her throne. No, Kayla said firmly. You are not the problem. You are part of the solution. But they won't listen to me, Reese frowned. Then who will they listen to? Suddenly, the great chamber doors opened. Every head turned. A cloaked figure walked in. Guards rushed forward, but the man raised his hand. Let him pass, Kayla said, confused. Who? The man pulled back his hood. Everyone gasped. Because the man standing before them had her eyes, her voice, her royal blood. Prince Lyric. Her brother. Kayla dropped her crown again. Lyric? He nodded once. Hello, sister. But how? I was taken, he said calmly. Raised far from here. Hidden. Trained. Watched. And now I return. The council fell into chaos. The rightful heir. He lives. What does this mean? Kayla stepped down from her throne. Why didn't you come back sooner? Because I didn't remember, Lyric said. Not until recently. And when I did, I watched. I saw what you became. What he became. He pointed at Reese. This man saved both of us. And now, you threaten to punish him for it. The council grew quiet. Lyric walked to Reese and bowed. Captain, you saved the future queen. And you saved me, though I slipped from your arms. I don't deserve thanks, Reese said. I don't even remember, but you carried us both. You tried. And I remember your voice. You told me, hold on, I did. Lyric turned to the council. This human does not divide us. He unites us. I am here to claim my place, but not alone. I claim it beside my sister. And beside the man who saved our lives. Kayla reached for Reese's hand. He took it. Together, the three stood before the council. Human, queen, Lost Prince, and the people watching on every screen across the galaxy saw not weakness, but unity. That night, Kayla stood on the palace balcony. Reese joined her. Watching the stars. You could have left, she said. So could you. You're staying, if you'll have me, she smiled. I already do. Below them, the city lit up with cheers. Fireworks bloomed in the sky. Not for war but for peace. Reese looked at the pendant still around her neck. Funny, he said. I gave you that without thinking. Just something to hold on to. Kayla turned to him. And I never let go.